When you hear startup, you generally think websites, apps, or social. But in reality, startups can come in many shapes and colors. The next keynote is about the other knowledge economy, featuring startups that are doing great things in wearables, hardware, energy, and green tech. On this panel, we have Hassan Slaibi, Jamil Korbani, Antoine Saab, and Hind Hbeia. Moderating this panel is Mark Haidar. Please welcome Mark.
Cool. I'm actually very excited to be moderating this panel with such an awesome entrepreneurs and even great topics such as the knowledge economy. Before probably we dive in, and just probably let you guys just quick 10 seconds, probably 20 seconds introduction about each of you. So I can start with you.
Hi, my name is Hind Hbeia. I'm the founder of Instabeat, which is a heads-up display that mounts on swimming goggles and helps swimmers track their entire workout.
Hi, I'm Hassan Slaibi. I'm also a co-founder of a company called Band Industries. We make the life of musicians easier. Our first product is called the Rody Tuner. It's an automatic guitar tuner that tunes your guitar for you.
Hello, my name is Antoine Saab. I'm the founder of a company called Energy24. Basically, we let you get rid of your polluting generator and have 24-hour, 7 electricity without any interruptions at all, at a 50% discount over the diesel fees you were paying before.
Hi everyone, my name is Jamil Korbani. I'm the co-founder of Green Studios and its CEO. We cover buildings with technology that allow you to plant vertically, and it's designed for hot weathers. It's patented in Lebanon and in the US. Thank you for having us here.
Well, thank you guys for joining this panel. Just before we dive into the questions, just the topic of knowledge economy is such a really interesting topic and extremely relevant to what we're doing today, and very important to Lebanon. One of the most important things about the knowledge economy is the ability to build and grow your economy just completely depending on human resources and human capital and the brain power of the people, instead of like the industrial economy where you needed to build a lot of industries and factories, invest a lot of money in infrastructure. I think what I'm going to try to do in this panel is just really ask relevant questions to the personal experiences of these awesome entrepreneurs and how did they come up with a concept, and are we growing into hopefully grow into a multi-million or multi-billion dollar companies with really depending on their own resources and their own human capital and own intellect. So we're going to start with, Hind, if you want to tell us about your product, your company, how did you come up with the concept? How are you growing? What are the challenges you faced here in Lebanon, and how did you overcome these problems, and where do you think you want to take this company to the next level?
So my story is very simple. I used to be a swimmer. I used to train competitively with the UB swim team, and I wanted a device that would help me measure my heart rate. I looked around, I could only find watches. So this is how the idea of a design that is suitable for swimmers came along. And I first got the idea, I took part in a competition in order to prototype the first version. It's called Stars of Science, it's sponsored by Qatar Foundation. And I won the third prize, and really that's where things started. I realized I was actually able to prototype my own ideas, and that was very, very empowering. And I tried to work in other companies, but I couldn't, knowing that I actually had this power. And so this was 4 years ago, and I've been working on the company for 3 full years. The first 2 years were all about prototyping, and I was entirely based in Lebanon, found engineers in Lebanon. It took a lot of time. It took almost over 8 months to find good engineers and designers who were capable of working on a consumer electronics product. So it's difficult but doable, and once we found the good team, we actually started iterating very quickly, and it took us 2 years to get to a product that could be manufacturable. So now was the next challenge, going from prototype to manufacturing. And that's when I realized that there was absolutely no opportunity for me to work on manufacturing in Lebanon, and I started looking abroad. So I was going a lot to conferences in the States and in Europe, and I met the company I work with today at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. So I've been working with them for a year, and we've been manufacturing the product between the US and China. And so this means working early in the morning with the factory and really late at night with the design for manufacturing agency that's based in the US and California. So the complete dynamics of the startups changed. And so now that we're almost through manufacturing and we're starting to deliver the pre-orders we had, next challenge is how do you make more out of that product and create demand and retail and distribution. And so we're not there yet, but that's our current challenge, and that's where we're at.
So the biggest gap that you saw here in Lebanon is basically the ability to manufacture an actual product and actually distribute it. But in terms of the core team, is all your the whole core team is actually from Lebanon, or?
So I tried as much as possible to keep the core team in Lebanon, but I quickly realized that was not possible. So we have one engineer and two designers here, and we have community management here, but then we have developers in Ukraine, and we have engineers in the US as well. So it's a bit spread all over the place, but I think with the internet, you can do that today. It's not very fast, I acknowledge, but it's feasible. You just need to be smart about who to put together in the same room and who can you have work remotely. And that took us some time to figure out as well.
So basically you started from here, you're manufacturing in China, you have developers in Ukraine, and you're selling in the US.
I mean,
Right.
in today's world where everyone's connected to everyone, it's totally doable.
Okay, awesome. So we're gonna share your story, Hassan.
Yeah, so I think it's a bit similar to Hind's because we're also developing a hardware product. The idea started with my co-founder, who's a oud player. His oud has 13 strings, so you can guess how he struggled tuning it every time he wanted to play. So he came up with the idea back at the days at AUB, also applied to Qatar to Stars of Science, and won the first prize in the first season. And after that, we basically got together. I was working in audio engineering in Australia, and I came back to Lebanon. So we were friends back at AUB. We used to play in the same band. And it just basically clicked. He's a mechanical engineer. He knows how to do hardware, how to do electronics, and I know how to code. I know how to do audio processing and signal processing. So we basically clicked together and started working on the project. It was basically under the hood for a really long time. About 2 years took us to develop the technology. And we have in our office now all those really funny looking prototypes that we had. But it was very exciting, and it takes a while to get from an idea to an actual do-alike prototype. After completing with this stage, we started also looking at manufacturing, and there I think we took a different path from Hind. We went actually to China to live there and attended an accelerator program called Hackcelerator, which is specialized in hardware. They taught us there how to visit factories, how to pick the right factory, how to crowdfund our invention, how to launch it, how to market it, how to speak to the media. It was a really exciting and intense 3.5 months in Shenzhen, China. After which we launched our product on Kickstarter, and that's how we funded manufacturing, because so there's lots of hurdles on the way, and one big hurdle is really funding. To manufacture a product, and Hind definitely knows it, it takes a lot of money to set up manufacturing, to pay the designers, to pay for plastic casts, to a lot of expenses here and there. So we crowdfunded the project on Kickstarter and raised $180,000 in 40 days, which is 3 times what we asked for. We took all this money in January, went back to China, and started manufacturing it, worked on the mobile apps, hired a couple of people, and built the product, which shipped actually 2 months ago. So not, it's just like 2 months ago. And now we're at a stage where we're focusing on growth, on sales, on marketing, on selling online, like on Amazon, on eBay, on our own website, and in retail stores like Sam Ash or Guitar Channel, the biggest retail stores in the US. And this is basically our current challenge, I guess.
So similar to Hind, like you actually came up with the concept and started the company in Lebanon. You went to China to manufacture it, and you did a Kickstarter campaign and trying to do retail and distribution in the United States as well, right?
Yeah, so it's all possible really out of Lebanon. We do travel a lot, but our core team is here in Lebanon, and it's really like we have access to talent here. And in the US, let's say if I wanted to move the company to San Francisco or to Silicon Valley, which is totally possible, we'd have to compete with Google and Facebook for talent, which is not the case here in Lebanon. So I think that's a huge advantage, and it really relates to the knowledge and the ability to have access to knowledge and to talent in Lebanon.
And how big is your team?
We're currently 4 people.
4 people.
We do quite a bit of outsourcing also. Like we work with teams. So for example, I did the iPhone app. I also use tools like Elance to do parts of the interface. So the parts that aren't really core to the mobile app, I outsource them on Elance. It's cheaper, and it gives me more time to focus on building the company rather than coding the whole time.
So again, I'm seeing a pattern here forming. It's just like basically you're seeing a gap in retail and distribution, for customer base, and second gap is manufacturing, here in Lebanon, and the third one is actually an actual development team, an affordable development, because you seem to actually have outsourced part of the development, to a company, and you doing some development in Ukraine as well, right? Do you guys see those as an actual continuous gaps in Lebanon, and and how do you guys see, how hard is it to actually overcome not having all these resources around you here?
I think it's like a global problem. Like every single startup anywhere in the world has expertise in a certain field, and has some doesn't know how to do some of the other parts. For us, it was design, for example. We outsourced our design or worked with design teams in the Netherlands, in Italy, and in Portugal. So three design teams to design and brand and design the mobile app. And I think with just like Hind mentioned, it's in today's world it's expected. There's lots of solutions and lots of companies that help you do it, like Elance, like Nabish, like how do we find the designer on I forgot the name, but it's all connected. I don't feel anymore like I'm in Lebanon. I don't have access to the rest of the world. It's really accessible, and faster internet would definitely help talk to those guys and synchronize better.
Awesome. Antoine, want to share your story?
Well, yes, actually, quite funny story though. I've been living in Canada for 10 years, and I've been using a special coffee machine that used to wake me up at 7 o'clock every day. I brought my coffee machine back in Beirut. I plugged it in, and I had a meeting at 8. So I was expecting to wake up at 7. The machine woke me up at 10:30. So I realized that, well, I had a couple of power cuts at night, and we had to do something about that. So I actually fixed that for myself, and after a couple of weeks running without any power at all, I had many of my friends who asked me, can you fix that, please? So I did I did install those machines that were really designed at the early stage, and everybody was very happy. So we decided to start producing those machines. We've developed them in a much more advanced manner. We developed much more powerful machines. We went up to 3 times 1,000 amps in design, though we didn't actually sell those yet.
Just to make clear,
Yeah.
This is the machine you're talking about is an actual, it's almost a giant big battery that you can actually charge and can power your house or office, or?
Yes, it's a battery that is proportional to the size of power you need for your home, or commerce, or industry. So the size of it depends on how much power do you need for how long. Typically in Lebanon, we have different areas with different power cuts in terms of time. So we've actually conceived the system in an IKEA kind of concept. So we have different building blocks that can be assembled in a very easy manner by anyone, by just following a chart. It's just boxes. You open the boxes, exactly as an IKEA table, for example. You open the box, you connect the things together, and you have a system that would run with the same quality, whether you're in Lebanon or in Jordan or anywhere else on the planet. So we built the product to be scalable from day zero, and then we started increasing the power capability of this product to fit bigger and bigger applications. So in the early stages, we've done single-phase systems to power typical homes. I'm talking about 15 amps, 27 amps, 45 amps, typical 100 to, let's say, 400 square meter apartments. Then we moved to commerces in three-phase. People needed their AC, they needed different machinery. We made a number of large plants where you have like 100 workers powering, let's say, a machine that cuts wood on a computer. So if you cut off the breaker, you would not see any difference. The factory would still run without any pollution, without any interruption, and surely with much less cost, because our product allows you to save about 50% on fuel.
And how did you build the product? Was it, so you came up with the concept here in Lebanon, but how did you create the product? Did you have all your team here from Lebanon, or did you outsource any of the work?
I'm a design engineer in that field, so what I've done is I started by looking at the economics of it. I wanted to make sure that provided we could put those long hours, that we could get to an economical model that would compete against diesel. So once I got that sorted out, we actually made the designs in Lebanon. We've drawn all the circuits. We didn't start from scratch though. We took the latest technology that I'm aware of that is being used in the United States and Canada, and we let's say enhanced it so that it would be compatible with the actual loads that you see in Lebanon that are, for example, large ACs or manufacturing.
But what team? Where is the team? You know,
Well,
actually
the
built
team
this?
we're 4 people in here. I did use a number of let's say I'm the design guy who did the actual schematics. However, we have a number of people who participated, providing their experience on typical projects. So I took some feedback from the market and we worked on it, and we kept on enhancing it until actually today.
So it's only 4 people built and designed.
Yeah.
And where are you doing the manufacturing?
The manufacturing is outsourced to a Canadian firm. So we've signed an agreement with them whereby we would provide them the schematics, of course under a non-disclosure agreement, and et cetera, et cetera. They provide us with the equipment that is pre-assembled. We only have to do the final assembly here at customer premises.
Okay, gotcha. And how big is the market for this, just in general?
Well, I think 2 out of 3 people in the room are potential customers. Perhaps maybe 3 out of 3. So
Probably 100% of the
Yeah.
room. And if you're
how many
staying in
people in
Lebanon-
this room would be interested in getting out of their generator and the diesel and the pollution? You see, that's it. So basically everybody, we are really, all the Lebanese people in here are really tired of the noise, the pollution, and especially those obscene bills.
What about the global opportunity? So Lebanon, we all know, I mean, it's very, how unique is the situation in Lebanon compared to the rest of the world?
Let me give you some figures from the World Bank, actually, that I checked up a few days ago. 7.1 billion people on Earth, 3.4 billion, that is about 47%, are operating on some sort of alternative power. That is, they don't have stable power. So there is about 3.4 billion on the planet that have the same problems we have in Lebanon.
Gotcha.
We're not unique.
And in terms of distribution, how you're selling outside? I mean, so you started in Lebanon, you have some pilots here, but how are you going to go into the next, the other 3.4 billion you're talking about?
Okay, we're trying to be very detailed about the way we execute on our business plan. This is very exciting and it's very easy to get lost. We've decided that we want to go step by step so that every step is a sure step. What we've done so far, we've took two years to develop a really reliable product. 2013, we've done pilot projects so that we create the credibility behind the product. 2014, we've also kept developing it. We included a solar energy option for the product. Now we're finalizing our funding round. For next year, we're planning to really start commercializing in mass for the Lebanese market. We've got a lot of demand from the neighbor countries, but we've asked everybody to wait until we are ready for international expansion. At this time, what we would like to do now is build a serious company with the proper structure to handle the challenges and be able to provide quality of service. That's something we're not very familiar here in Lebanon. We need a good product, but we also need a service that is in time and also up to the standards.
Gotcha, okay. Qurbani, you want to share your story?
Hello, everyone. How many of you is familiar with green walls or vertical gardens? Have seen them, know about them, like them? Okay. So with a group of friends 5 years ago, we were brainstorming. We wanted to launch a startup in the field of landscape architecture, it was. But then, while doing our research, we just imagined the globe. Most of the people live in cities, and this is the globe. Imagine this is globe. The northern part of the globe is okay. There is a lot of greenery there, roof gardens, vertical gardens, and public gardens. But when you go to the southern part of the globe, the heat condition is difficult, poverty. You have a lot of concentration of people in cities and a big lack in green areas. So we said, let's build a company that can install vertical gardens and roof gardens easily, economically in Lebanon and around us in the Arab world. And we started testing all those systems available in the world, and we found out that there's really no system that can live under 55 degrees conditions all over the world, because most of the developed companies who have invented systems, they are in the northern part of the continent. They're either in Holland or in Northern America, so they have invented systems that function in their weathers and not in our conditions. So we decided just to invest our capability in trying to invent a system that works under difficult conditions and can allow us to plant vertically and on roofs. I personally am not an agriculture engineer. I'm an economist. I have a lot of experience, though, in agriculture technology. So the people who founded Green Studios are 2 architects, 1 agriculture engineer, and 1 economist. And this multidisciplinary approach from the very beginning, I think, gave us a lot of boost to succeed. Like a year and a half later, we discovered the system, we presented it to some people, we got it approved by a developer in Lebanon called Solidaire, and we registered it in Lebanon, we patented, and from there on we won the MIT Pan-Arab Award, and I really don't remember what happened 3 years ago until now, but it's going okay. We're doing great. Our technology is registered now in the US as patents. There is a lot of demand for our services around us in the Arab world and obviously all over the globe.
So the core team is still here in Lebanon, right?
Yes, we have a little team in Egypt, Cairo. We have a couple of people in the UAE, but basically we are all here in Beirut, Lebanon now.
So how big is your team?
We're 25.
25. Wow. So you grew the team from a couple of people to 25 in 2 years?
In 5 years.
Are you funded?
We're not funded and we're still zero debt.
So you've managed to grow it completely organically.
The thing is, talking about the knowledge economy, those 3 active partners, they just invested their whole time for a couple of years, full time, 7 days a week, and this is what made the difference.
And you're cash flow positive now. So
We're cash flow positive, we're profitability positive, yeah.
excellent. So again, where are you manufacturing your equipment and devices?
In Lebanon,
Really?
yeah,
You're doing the manufacturing in Lebanon? Wow.
yeah.
Excellent.
The thing is, yeah, we're happy to do it in Lebanon.
Even the
It's-
electronics, the boards and all of that? Or
No, the electronics, yeah, the assembly, of course, here. The design we do here, we get some raw material, some chips, and we assemble here, yeah.
do you have custom circuit boards? And
We have custom circuit boards, we have patents in circuit boards as well for
And you do
smart
the
systems.
assembly of the circuit boards here in Lebanon?
Yes, here in Lebanon.
Excellent. So then your team is dispersed between Lebanon, UAE, and Egypt?
And we're gonna continue dispatching people around us in countries where we are doing business. Hopefully, we do the Arab world, and then we're gonna try doing maybe the southern part of the Americas, Latin America, California, in the near future, I hope. The thing is, yeah, we're manufacturing in Lebanon. It's cool, it's nice, but you're gonna reach a point where your scalability, you need to. We think we are going to need to produce, manufacture elsewhere in the near future. Yeah, so there is kind of a limit above which it becomes much more feasible for you to produce it elsewhere.
Excellent.
Yeah, honestly.
If you look at this panel, you can, they cover a lot of the new trends of technology, starting from like wearables to, like hardware to energy to clean tech. And you all started here in Lebanon completely. And they all started with very small team. They all started with almost no capital. I mean, none of you had really giant investment round. And somehow you managed to make it. And when you saw gaps, a lot of you filled these gaps by getting resources from other countries. And I think that's the kind of definition what, mainly what makes the knowledge economy so interesting is basically you really can start a company with really minimal resources without having a lot of money. And somehow, because of the globalization that we have right now, you can augment and the capabilities you don't have with external capabilities and grow your company. And the world now is a global market. All of these guys, their market is definitely not 100% Lebanon, they're growing globally. That's the beauty of it. It's just, but the core asset across all these companies is you guys are solving a problem. And second, it's completely depending on your own intellectual power. The second part, I really just want to, what do you think, just growing up here in Lebanon or being in Lebanon, what do you think the best asset that we all, in Lebanon complain about all the things that we don't have and the things we wish for, but what are the strengths of the Lebanese entrepreneur, in your opinion?
I would say one of the strongest assets we have in Lebanon is our instability. Because of the war and the instability, we become more creative. We want to find all the ways possible to survive. This makes us more creative. This makes us disruptive. And this gives us, I think, a good drive to grow. This is one thing. Of course, obviously, our emotional intelligence, because of the family nets, it's extraordinary here, and education. I think this is it, basically, if I would want to summarize it.
Well, I think that to everything there is a good side and a bad side. I guess to chaos there is a good side. So. When you have an environment that is chaotic, when I say chaotic, it means it can be chaotic on a number of issues. can be legal chaos, it can be specification chaos, technical chaos, uncertainties, etc. You get to have an experimentation platform whereby if a product succeeds under those parameters, then it will succeed anywhere else. By this I mean you have the product to succeed in a, let's say in our case, we have to overcome the crazy electrical chaotic conditions where power swings sometimes between 140 to 280 to 260. So we have to overcome the power problems. We have to overcome the long, let's say exact or the blur jurisdictions in Lebanon where people don't read contracts, they don't know what they want, etc. So in an environment where you can really come up with a product that is simple enough for people to understand their engagement and at the same time succeed technically and pass all the uncertainties of power not being available today for like 3 days or whatever, then if a product passes those conditions, then probably this product has very high chances of succeeding anywhere else on the planet.
In other words, you're saying is just basically if you have an environment where everything in that environment is working completely against you and everything resembles the worst case scenario for your product, this will help you to build a better product?
If you make it here, you make it anywhere.
So then what are the things that, just as a question for you, Hassan, and Hind is like, what are the things you think that are working against you or against the knowledge economy in Lebanon, you think? What are the biggest obstacle? Because obviously you guys were able to build or bridge the human capital gap and market gap. So what's the biggest thing that you think that's really still missing and you're still struggling with right now?
Yeah, I think for us, one thing that I'd really love to change, to see differently, is customs and the whole shipping infrastructure. For us developing hardware products, we'd need to order components from China, from the US, and sometimes from Germany. So every time we need to develop a new prototype, we have to order those things, wait for 2 weeks until we get them, and then we ordered the wrong thing, or we need like a different sized motor or something. So that, we struggled a lot with this. And I think this new industrial revolution with 3D printing, with rapid prototyping, is moving to Lebanon, but there's this shipping and the whole customs thing, infrastructure that we really struggled with.
What about you, Hind? What do you think the biggest?
I definitely agree with the custom thing. Last time I ordered a $4 battery and had to pay $20,000 of customs for that battery. So definitely agree with that. And I think a second hurdle is the internet. I schedule my meetings either really early in the morning or really late in the evening because I know that's when the internet's going to be the fastest and it's not going to cut. This is not a healthy way to live. I think that the internet connection, it gets cut. You can't use video, so there's the personal communication, like the personal touch and the conversation that goes away. I think there's a lot more that we could do, and we could do things a lot faster with a faster internet connection. And I'm talking as a hardware company. I don't know about software companies, how they're able to manage with the slow internet. So I see this as the biggest hurdle today, especially that we cannot find the things we need here. So internet is our only way in order to make it.
So I probably we're running a little bit out of time, but there's a question, just something probably I want to get your take on, is just basically, a lot of your companies grow to a certain level, they're still like not mass scale, and in order to get into mass scale, short of actually having an awesome product, an awesome company with great cash flow, coming in, you guys going to need growth capital because, you managed to bootstrap your companies, you managed to get it where it is right now. What are the difficulties that if you just want to say like 20, 30 seconds each, what are the difficulties that you guys are facing right now with the investment environment here in Lebanon and in the region in raising capital to take your companies to the next level?
I can start. I think I might have an opposite view, but I've had a tremendous support from the ecosystem here. I was able to raise close to $2 million from Lebanese VCs, business angels, and actually I would have never started the company if it weren't for the support I received from day one. So I'm incredibly grateful for what has happened. I think Lebanon is a great place to start. It's not the place where you can grow, and this is when you need to start thinking bigger than what you actually have. But to me, I was very lucky, and I think I worked hard on being part of this whole ecosystem and making the best out of it.
So you're not looking to raise any other round? That's it?
Of course, I mean, as a startup, you're always looking to raise new rounds, but we've raised our initial rounds from Lebanon, and now we're looking to raise them from abroad, where we can get people on board who understand the consumer electronics market, the manufacturing market, the retail business. So, you know, before we're looking for people who would help us hire, start a small company, get access to capital. But, you know, at every step you have a different challenge, and you have different people who can help you overcome that challenge.
So you think, for example, if you wanted to raise, let's say, $20 million, can you raise $20 million in Lebanon or not?
I think 3 years ago you probably couldn't. Today with the central bank, the Circular 331, things are about to change. It's just starting now, so yeah, let's see.
Okay. So if you were not able to raise the money in Lebanon, have you tried to raise money? Just this question for Hassan. If you're raising, let's say, $5 to $10 million round, or 10 to 20, where would you look for that money? Have you tried or pitched foreign investors to invest in your company? I just want to understand kind of the difficulties the companies face in Lebanon if they were asking for capital, for growth capital outside the country.
Yeah, I think there's always this dilemma with Silicon Valley, of course, being the VC hub in the world. Like even companies in the US go to Silicon Valley to pitch their companies and get VCs on board. Now, for this region, getting funds from Silicon Valley is more tricky if you're not based there. So if you want to have access to funds from Silicon Valley, maybe it's a good idea to move the whole company there, which is a pity because you lose all the advantage of being based out of your home country, having access to talent, having all the connections, all the friends who can help you out. I personally haven't had a lot of experience fundraising because we've been bootstrapping so far. Kickstarter has covered all our manufacturing costs and the sales we've been doing on our website. So far we've been bootstrapping. We only have one investor who's in the US and Ireland. So maybe I'm not the best person to ask about fundraising in Lebanon or abroad.
Antoine, how much money have you raised for your company?
Zero.
And are you looking to raise any?
So far, I have, yes. We're currently negotiating with a few investors.
How much? How big is the round?
We'll be raising for the first round. We'll be raising $1 million. We in our business, our activity is really needs a lot of cash to start because it's let's say it's cash hungry kind of machine. Our approach, our business model is about a service revenue that you bring by actually starting through an investment. So we invest in the equipment and we get revenues from that equipment once it's at the customer premises. What I'd like to say is, first I'm comparing a bit Lebanon today with Lebanon that I knew before I left Canada. And I have to say that I've seen a lot of progress. I left Lebanon in 2000 at a time where you couldn't rent in an office even, because there was no law for renting an office. You had to partner with some office owner and then bring him into the company to get an office. Today, I am seeing, really, I'm quite amazed to see the BDL coming in in full throttle. I'm seeing companies like Berytech, like Endeavor, like many people are there to assist you and to provide you mentorship. What I would say is really needed today is really for, as we discussed earlier, the internet to get better. We need that. If we need to put Lebanon on the map, on the international, let's say in the startup business, we need to get the internet, we need to get areas where people get support at low rent. Today, when you start a business, you don't want to be paying $5,000 a month for an office. Unfortunately, rent is still very expensive. So I see assistance from the government also on DHL or express courier. Whenever you receive some components, you have to pay an arm and a leg to get them out. There is a lot of things to be done more.
But you don't see any issues with the investment community here? I mean,
No, I am seeing a lot of positivism. I'm very, let's say, optimistic about closing a financing round before the end of the year. So far, I've been funding the business myself, but I'm very optimistic about. I'm very happy to see the professionalism of all the people in the financing environment, and I'm very happy that we've done a big giant step forward.
yeah. What about you, Jamil? Are you looking to raise like
Yeah.
a large round? I'm not talking about million or 2 million, like really large round. Are you
Large round, no, we're going into Series A early next year. That's a couple of millions, the ticket. And then a couple of years down the road after that, probably a bigger ticket. Two things I would like to say. First of all, I mean, according to my experience, first of all, mentorship. We had the chance to be handled by Endeavor. We met Endeavor a couple of years ago. They are an NGO based in New York. They help you develop your business. They give you all kind of consultancy. So they helped us. They really changed my perspective on how to think my business, how to think big, how to act as a CEO, how to build my team. And this, I think, is something that is great. It's happening in Lebanon. It's going to continue happening. So for all those startups, you are going to have the chance to be well mentored. Just focus on your product service. This is one. Two, on the investment ecosystem, of course, there is the 331 that everyone knows about. It had some problems at the beginning because neither central bank nor the banks know how to evaluate companies or to go invest in equity in them. But now we're looking at an ecosystem where venture capital firms are, developing here in Lebanon. They're going to continue developing. We're going to see new players. So if you have an idea and you want to go into this idea, I think now is the best time because the fund is so big. It's like 400 million plus, and if you compare it to the startup ecosystem, it's much bigger than the startup ecosystem. So you might have a supply problem, like you wouldn't have enough startups to be covered by funding. So you guys just leave everything you're doing and build your own startup. There is room for investment, I believe. Personally, us, Green Studios, no, we're not having major problems. We have 5 or 6 VCs we're talking to. We believe we're going to close our round soon. Yeah.
The main reason I'm asking about just the growth capital, just in general, I mean, I can definitely see you can manage to get by for $2 million or $5 million here for the market. The market's not huge. You don't,
you want
the
more?
salaries on it. If you want
More.
if the topic is knowledge economy and you really want to impact the economy in Lebanon, like really big, and you want to create companies could grow to hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars, this is where you start needing, and you want to expand to the United States, to Europe, where really most of the purchase power is there. In these cases, you're going to need a lot of growth capital.
Sure.
And what I'm trying, just want to understand from the conversations here and with you guys and everyone else is just, are there any big firms here that could write big checks, $10 million to $100 million checks?
I believe there are VCs here in Lebanon who are planning to manage something around 60 to 70 million in funds. I don't know how this can be translated.
But this is still a small fund.
It's a small fund, yeah. So no, I'm basically, you're either going to be in Dubai if you are tackling the Arab world. There you can raise 10 million plus easily. Or if you're going to raise in the US or in London, for instance, you have to incorporate either in the US, Delaware, or in London, because it's going to be super difficult for a Lebanese company to raise capital in the US if they are not incorporated.
Can you
in the
point to
US.
any Lebanese company who managed to raise some capital here, and then grow in the United States and raise large
I think
rounds?
Hint, someone told me you have incorporated in the US and your investment is partially, or you're planning to raise in the US?
I don't think this, I apply to this question, but I've met a lot of Lebanese, none come to my mind right now, but a lot of Lebanese people who have companies in Lebanon, who have companies in the US, and who've taken funding from both. They have tech teams running in Lebanon, the remaining tech team in the US, and sales and business development focused in the US. So that's a model that's growing, and it's growing even more now with the central bank initiative.
Gotcha.
I think Wupra is one example.
What is it called?
Wupra.
Wupra?
Because it started in Lebanon, then moved. Now it's all based in Silicon Valley. I think one of the big reasons why VCs aren't really ready to like sign those big tickets now, because there's a lack of big success stories of big acquisitions or IPOs in the region, and it's really the whole startup and investment cycle is in 5 to 10 years at least. So maybe because it's starting now and BDL is really helping out de-risking like partially or like largely de-risking some of the investments in startups. I think this is a golden time to be here in the region and for VCs and for startups.
Awesome. I think we're out of time, so thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone for listening. So.
Thank you.